What's up, y'all? It's your boy Rodman's back with another video. I know it's been a while since y'all heard from me. I know it's been a while since I've dropped a video, but I want to say that work has definitely been keeping me busy outside of the YouTube space, outside of the channel, but that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I'm back with y'all with another video, and I will be getting back to being consistent with the content. As the channel says, whatever the topic is, we're going to discuss it. And on today's video, we are going to talk about the New York Knicks. Now, I know everybody and their grandma has talked about the New York Knicks. And yes, they did win the NBA championship, as we all saw. Just want to throw this out there. I saw where the NBA Finals this year was the highest rated NBA Finals since 1998. That is incredible. That is incredible. And I think that the Knicks winning the championship, with a young Spurs team led by De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, who I'll talk about a little later, I think that's good for the game of basketball. I think that's good for the NBA because, you have your usual suspects like the Lakers, the Thunder, the Celtics, so on and so forth. I think every now and then you need a change. You need a fresh coat of paint. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You need some fresh faces. You need different teams in that mix as far as the championship is concerned. And we got that this year. I thought the series overall was great, even though the Knicks won in 5. And I will definitely be talking about Game 4. As this video goes along, I will definitely be talking about Game 4. But nonetheless, the New York Knicks are your 2025-26 NBA champions. Congratulations to them. Jalen Brunson, MVP. I'll talk more about him a little later. And, that parade last week, that parade was some serious. That's one of the best parades I've ever seen, especially in the NHL. I want to go ahead and throw this also out there. Congratulations is in order to the Carolina Hurricanes, who won their second Stanley Cup championship in franchise history. They also had a big parade, so congratulations to them. But back to the topic at hand. On this video, we're going to talk about, the last time they won the championship, the other two appearances in the finals, how things turned out for them this year, so on and so forth. And I'll even give y'all two bonus questions towards the end. And y'all let me know let me know y'all opinion in the comment section once I give y'all those questions. But let's go ahead and get into the swing of things. Let's talk about the New York Knicks and the last championship before this one. Yes, the last time the New York Knicks won the NBA championship was in 1973. Now, 1973 compared to 2026 is a lot different. It's like a tale of two tapes, if you will. Things were a lot different in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s compared to how it is now in the 2020s. But that's neither here nor there. The New York Knicks faced against Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and the Los Angeles Lakers, and they defeated the Lakers in 5 games to win the NBA championship. The Lakers won Game 1. Okay, they won Game 1, but the Knicks ended up winning the next 4. The New York Knicks, that team right there has a lot of Hall of Famers, okay? They have a lot of Hall of Famers, including Bill Frazier, Willis Reed, Jerry Lucas, Earl the Pearl Monroe, and of course the one and only Phil Jackson, just to name a few. Their head coach at the time, his blueprint for the team was see the ball, hit the open man. I mean, how else are you going to win the game if you can't see the ball and you can't get the man open? You got to get the open man in order to get great shots, in order to get points on the board. You know what I'm saying? So apparently they worked, and they had a real good defense back then, okay? And Phil Jackson at this time was a young forward in the game. I don't know how many years he was in at this time. I want to say he was a couple years into the league. I could be wrong. But nonetheless, he was a young guy on the team winning his first championship, and he was going to win many other championships as a head coach, okay? We know what he done with the Bulls. We know what he done with the Lakers, so on and so forth. But that team right there solidified their status in basketball annals as one of the great championship teams of all time. And now we move on to the regular season. For the New York Knicks. That was just a little history lesson. And the New York Knicks definitely had something to celebrate back then. And I'll talk about their celebration this year. But let's talk about the regular season for the New York Knicks. There were a lot of changes in New York. Tom Thibodeau got fired as head coach. I saw where he had some stuff to say. I don't have the quote in front of me, but nonetheless, he was no longer the man in New York, okay? He was no longer the guy to lead the New York Knicks to the promised land, hopefully to the promised land. That guy in his position was Mike Brown. Now, Mike Brown, his coaching career is definitely one to talk about. I mean, he's coached under the likes of Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, won numerous championships as an assistant coach. He had 2 stints in Cleveland. He had a stint in Sacramento. Unfortunately, he got fired in both places. But nonetheless, he was the man for the job. He was the new man in town in New York. And the question was, what are the New York Knicks going to look like under the stewardship, if you will, of Mike Brown? And let me say this. I'm not saying Mike Brown is a bad head coach. Mike Brown is not a bad coach by no means. Am I saying he's a Phil Jackson? No. Am I saying he's a Coach Pop? No. Am I saying he's a Steve Kerr? Absolutely not. But what I'm saying is he's great in his own right, and he knows how to coach the team. He knows like their ins and outs, if you will. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So like I said, he was hired as the new head coach. And hopefully this was the move to maximize the roster, maximize the New York Knicks to their full potential. So we'll see. Later on during the season, they reached the finals of the NBA Cup. Now, I personally don't like the NBA Cup. I think it's stupid, but nonetheless, they would go on to face the San Antonio Spurs, led by Victor Wembanyama. Yes, 7'4", 7'5", Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and the rest of that crew. The New York Knicks would overcome the likes of Toronto in the quarterfinals. They defeated the Orlando Magic in the semifinals. And as I mentioned, they defeated the San Antonio Spurs in the finals in Las Vegas. And they would go on to win that game 124-113. And they were your new NBA Cup champions. Later on during the season, from December 31st to January 19th, the Knicks went on a 2-9 stretch. They won 2 games, lost 9. They had lost 9 of their last 11 games, and it was panic. Everybody from Stephen A. and everybody else who were diehard Knicks fans were immediately hitting the panic button on the New York Knicks. Now, mind you, during the stretch, the New York Knicks went on 2 separate 4-game losing streaks. Okay? Again, they were 2-9 during that period. So things were not looking on the up and up for the New York Knicks. But afterwards, they found ways to work as a cohesive unit. They found ways to correct their mistakes, see the error of their ways, and stuff like that. They ended the month of January of this year during the season on a 5-game win streak, which was pretty good. Because again, you go 2-9 during that stretch. Yeah, people are going to hit the panic button. People are going to say, well, they're not championship contenders. They're not what we thought they were. Or were they what they thought we were? We shall see. Let's talk about this game they had against the Brooklyn Nets. Yes, it's the Brooklyn Nets. It's not much to say about the Brooklyn Nets, okay? They had a game during the season, late in the season, where they played the Brooklyn Nets, and they demolished, and I use that in big letters, demolished the Brooklyn Nets 120-66. Let me repeat that. They demolished the Brooklyn Nets 120-66. And I think they played at Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but I think they played at Brooklyn. And that was, excuse my language, that was an ass whooping, to say the least. I mean, again, you talk about the Brooklyn Nets, what else is there to talk about, right? When you talk about the New York Knicks, you talk about Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, so on and so forth. It's like night and day here. So what are we doing here? Nonetheless, the Knicks got the win in dominant fashion. Then we move on to the season. By March 30th, they had secured their fourth straight playoff berth. Okay, so they were already making waves in the Eastern Conference. They were already saying, hey, we're still in this conversation. We ain't going nowhere yet. Okay, we're in the playoffs. The question was, what were they going to do in the playoffs? And we saw what they did in the playoffs. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Overall, they finished 53-29, which is pretty damn good to say the least. And with that, it showed that they had a strong defense. They got a very good offense. Of course, like I said, they got Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Bronson. Bronson, he's pretty much, and, not just saying him, he's pretty much carried the team on his back, if you will. And for them to be on the ascension, if you will, when we get to the playoffs, boy, oh boy, I tell you what, man, when playoff time came, playoff time was definitely one to see when it came to the New York Knicks, to say the least. As far as the playoffs are concerned, their first matchup was in the first round, best of 7 against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, at one point, the Atlanta Hawks were up 2-1 on the New York Knicks. They were up 2-1. And I remember Stephen A. Smith going off on First Take. And I'm sure there are some people that had something to say about it, not as much as he did. He went off on the New York Knicks. I even watched it on his personal YouTube channel. He's just going off, right? Now, granted, to be fair, if they were to lose this series to the Atlanta Hawks, that would be an embarrassment. And yes, changes would have needed to be made. But then they went on this legendary streak, right? They ended up beating the Atlanta Hawks 4-2 in the first round. Then they played the they played the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sorry. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and crew. They swept them. Honestly, let me tell y'all something. I was stunned. I was kind of stunned that they swept the Sixers. Now, it's the Philadelphia 76ers. Not saying they're a bad team, but they couldn't even hold a candle. They couldn't hold a candle to what the New York Knicks were doing in the playoffs, man. Like, what are we talking about? Did y'all see Game 4 on Mother's Day? Did y'all see Game 4 when New York Knicks fans took over Philly, right? I mean, when you think of the Knicks, you think of the diehard fans who support them. Spike Lee, Fat Joe, Tracy Morgan, so on and so forth, right? You think of the energy that was brought to that team, the life that was given to the New York Knicks. And it showed. They sent the Sixers home packing real quick. The Eastern Conference Finals. Don't even get me started on Cleveland's head coach. He's coming back for another year. He wants to talk about analytics and all this type of stuff. Listen, Game 1 of that series, you had a chance to call timeout. I think he called like one timeout in the fourth quarter, and I think they lost in overtime. Nonetheless, the Cleveland Cavaliers got swept by the New York Knicks. But their head coach wants to talk about analytics and all this nonsense. Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from a standpoint that y'all got swept. You're sitting at home watching them. So, I mean, what am I missing here? Like, literally, what am I missing? Clearly, I wasn't missing too much of nothing, because the New York Knicks still went on a legendary run, right? So they're Eastern Conference champions. Then they move on to the NBA Finals. They played the same team who they beat in the NBA Cup in the San Antonio Spurs. Now, Jalen Brunson was Eastern Conference Finals MVP, as he should, right? Now we get to the NBA Finals, and I'm thinking, okay, San Antonio, New York, NBA Cup rematch. At first, going into the season, I would have said San Antonio, because I had San Antonio playing Boston in the NBA Finals, but we saw how Boston got upset in the first round. I said San Antonio in 6, but then with the way the Knicks were playing, the way they were playing in the postseason, the dominance they showed offensively, defensively, rebounding on the glass and everything like that, getting open shots. I'm just like, I may have to change my pick. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up having to change my pick. I said Knicks in 6. So we were in for a great series. And then, as time went along, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to see. And then Game 4. Game 4. Let's talk about Game 4, ladies and gentlemen. The NBA Finals, Game 4, Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks were down, 28, 29 points? 27, I think like 27 points at halftime. And then the San Antonio Spurs were up by as many as 29 points. And the magical comeback that was the New York Knicks. Now, I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I'm not even going to lie. I literally turned the channel because the Knicks were getting their ass kicked. They were getting blown out. I turned the channel back to the game. 3 minutes left in the game. They making a comeback. They're making a comeback. And then the final seconds is what told the entire story. Jalen Brunson shoots 3. He misses it. OG Anunoby tips the ball in. Crowd goes nuts. I'm like, can y'all be serious right now? Like, what am I watching? Did I just see this? Like, the whole world saw this. And I'm just sitting there flabbergasted. I literally got up off my bed when he tipped that shot in. And the New York Knicks ended up winning Game 4, 107-106. Now, here's the problem I have with this. And this is more on San Antonio. And oh, by the way, they lost Game 5. So the Knicks ended up winning 4-1. I'll talk more about that a little later. The San Antonio Spurs had double-digit leads in each game of this series. Double-digit leads, and you blew each lead, especially Game 4. There was no excuse as to why you blew a 29-point lead. There was no excuse as to why they let that 29-point lead diminish the way they did. That to me will go down as one of the greatest comebacks in all of sports, not just basketball, but I'm talking about sports in general. When I think of comebacks, I'm not just talking about a game. I'm not just talking about a series. I'm talking about all-time comebacks. I still remember when the Red Sox came back on the Yankees and won their series 4-3 in 7. I remember the kick 6, Auburn, Alabama. I just watched a clip on social media. I don't know if y'all remember a while back, LSU playing Kentucky and how they won that game with just a few seconds left, right? Like, I think of so many comebacks. Like, that comeback right there, Game 4, that, to me, and I'm hopeful y'all will feel the same way, that's up there. Game 4 comeback is up there. Like, it's up there, bro. Like, I was just shocked. Like, everybody was talking about that. Like, how do y'all let a 29-point lead diminish like that? Like, what was going on? Were y'all gassed? Were y'all tired? Did y'all not care? Clearly, y'all didn't because you lost the game. And then they lose Game 5 in San Antonio. The New York Knicks, for the first time in 53 years, win the NBA championship. And like I said earlier, I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for sports in general. And it was just fun to see. You know, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Mike Brown, Josh Hart, the rest of that crew, Karl Anthony Towns winning their first title. Now, some of those guys on that team already have a championship, but I'm talking about for a few of them winning their first title, and just for the city of New York, man. Like I said, the Knicks have been through so much in the last few years, man. You know, they've had so many stars play for that team, from Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, Stephon Marbury. I could be naming names all day. Jeremy Lin. Remember Lin Sanity? Like, man, it was just crazy, man. And, like, that parade was something serious. That parade was something that was one of those real feel-good moments, right? You know, everybody there, Spike Lee, Tracy Morgan, Fat Joe performing, the mayor there, and all that type of stuff, man. I just really, I really loved it. I really loved it. It's every now and then you need to switch it up. You know, when you think of blue collar teams, yeah, you think of the Knicks, but I'm talking about teams who have won the championship over the last few years. You think of the Miami Heats of the world, the Lakers of the world, the Celtics of the world, right? The New York Knicks. Think of how much this meant for the city. Think of how much this meant for the state of New York. You know, you got the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets, as trash as they are. Nonetheless, the New York Knicks brought a championship to New York. And it was something special. It was a very special moment to see, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching that. And I hate I had to work, but nonetheless, I enjoyed the fact that the New York Knicks won the championship, and it was well deserved. It was well deserved. And San Antonio, Wemby, they're going to be in the conversation for years to come. As far as Victor is concerned, man, listen, he's going to win a championship. He's going to win more than one championship. He's going to win a few titles. He's going to have a few chips under his belt. This is just the first start, man. Going into year 4 next year, it's going to be interesting to see what San Antonio does, but, you know, they're going to be in a conversation for sure. And now, all of a sudden, you know, the betting odds are out, which I'll get to in a minute. But Jalen Brunson was the MVP. He was the MVP of the NBA Finals. He averaged 32.6 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 4.2 rebounds per game. He dropped 45 in Game 5. He made a statement. I just put it that way. He made a statement, and that's why he was named MVP. You know, you could make the argument for OG Anunoby. I put him in that conversation based on that game-winning shot he made in Game 4. But he played his ass off too now. You know, that whole team, they played their butts off. And kudos to San Antonio. They played their butts off. But Game 4 is what told the whole story to me. That was the turning point of the entire series. Now, as I mentioned, the betting odds are out from various sports books like DraftKings, FanDuel, etc. These are the top 10 teams who have the betting odds as far as the championship is concerned next year. San Antonio is number 1. Of course, they're going to be number 1 because a lot of people are looking at them like, you know, they may get there, they may not. You know, they're runner-up this year. They're at plus 250. OKC is also at plus 250. Boston at 550. The New York Knicks plus 700. They're 4th on the list at plus 700. The Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets at plus 2,800. And rounding out the top 10, Minnesota, the Los Angeles Lakers, Detroit, and Cleveland all at plus 3,000. So those are your betting odds as far as the Larry O'Brien Trophy is concerned. And I want to leave y'all with this before I end the video. I was watching First Take last Friday, and they asked the question, which superstar do you think is under the most pressure to win a championship now that the New York Knicks have won the title? 2 of the guys said Luka Doncic. The other one said Anthony Edwards, which got me asking y'all, which star do you think is the most under pressure? Give me your top 5, if you will. If you have a top 5, top 3, drop it in the comment section. Who do you think is now under the most pressure to win an NBA championship? So with that being said, I'm gonna give y'all my top 5 on who I think is under the most pressure to win the championship. You may agree with me, you may not. That's fine. Your list is different from mine. Here goes my list. Number 5, Joel Embiid. Now I know a lot of y'all are gonna laugh at that, but hear me out. Joel Embiid is great when he's healthy. We all know his history with injuries. But if he can get on the right team, be in the right system, so on and so forth, I think he can win a championship. Do I think he'll win one with Philly? Absolutely not. But he's still going to be under pressure to bring a championship to Philly, right? So I feel like he deserves a spot on that list, in my opinion. So he's going to be under immense pressure. Number 4, SGA. Now, granted, he already has a championship. It's a possibility OKC could win a championship for the second time in 3 years. Chet Holmgren's going to have to step up, right? What are they going to do as far as free agency is concerned? The draft is going on right now. Night 2 was going to cap off the draft. So it's going to be very interesting to see what OKC is going to do. They're going to have to step up as a collective if they want to win another championship and still be in that conversation going forward. And I think SGA, he's another player going to be under pressure as far as winning the championship is concerned. I may be wrong. Again, y'all may disagree with me. That's fine, but that's just my personal opinion. Number 2 and number 3, I had to switch out. Number 3, I'm going to say Anthony Edwards. I don't know what Minnesota's got going on. Minnesota's just making moves that's kind of got me scratching my head. Is Anthony Edwards going to be like Karl Anthony Towns, Kevin Garnett, and other people that have left Minnesota to get a championship elsewhere? I mean, he's basically carrying the team on his back, right? His Robin just won a championship in Karl Anthony Towns in New York. Who's to say Ant-Man ain't next? Ant-Man, they're gonna have to get some help for Ant-Man if he wants to win a championship. I doubt if he wins a championship in Minnesota. They got a decent team, but they're gonna have to get him some help because he can't do it by himself. He's another person that's gonna be under pressure. Because the question is, when is Minnesota, under the leadership of Anthony Edwards, gonna get over the hump? Julius Randle ain't there. You still got Rudy Gobert. He's a decent player, but is he gonna get you over the hump alone with Ant-Man? Karl Anthony Towns? I mean, come on now. What are we talking about? Victor Wembanyama is number 2 on my list. Like I said, they're the runner-up from this year. Victor Wembanyama, there's going to be a lot of talk about him going into next season. Like I said earlier, he's going to have a bunch of chips under his belt. You know, I'm not saying like Bill Russell or nothing like that, but I think he'll get a few chips under his belt when it's all said and done. He's still got a long career ahead of him. So he really has nothing to worry about. But a lot of people are still going to look at how they finished, where they started last year, and how they finished. So he's definitely going to have that microscope on him as far as getting back to the finals and stuff like that. And number 1, Luka Doncic. Now, news just dropped this morning that Austin Reeves, signed a new extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. The question is LeBron going to come back? If not, they need to build around Luka and Austin Reeves because LeBron ain't going to play forever, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron ended up moving somewhere else or playing somewhere else. They need to get people who can play some defense because Luka can't play no defense. Austin Reeves ain't going to play no defense, right? But Luka, they built that team around him good enough. They can be in that conversation. They might surprise some people. Do I think they'll be in the mix as far as the championship is concerned? We'll see. But Luka, to me, he's out of these 5, he's the one to me that's definitely under the most immense pressure. Yeah, we're still talking about the trade from him with him in Dallas and all that. It is what it is. But nonetheless, I think he's going to be under the most immense pressure out of everybody on this list. He has to bring a championship to LA. The Lakers ain't won the championship since the pandemic, so they got to do something. You know what I'm saying? So that's my list. My other question to you is, do you think the New York Knicks will repeat going into next? Do you think the New York Knicks will repeat next season? Right? It's possible. You know, they have the 4th best betting odds to win the NBA championship. They got a good shot to win the East again next year, but we'll see. So my 2 questions to y'all is, do you think it's possible the New York Knicks will repeat next year? And which superstar is under pressure to deliver a championship? Y'all let me know in the comment section. As usual, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, man. I'm getting back to being consistent on the channel. I'm now on Facebook. Yes, your boy is now on Facebook. The Point of View with Rodimus Facebook page on Facebook. Y'all like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. So I'm doing the best I can to stay consistent there. Basically stay consistent with the material overall. But that's pretty much the whole deal there. But like I said though, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts with me. I'm open to all comments, and I will do the best I can to reply and all that good stuff. So yeah, some good stuff here. Other than that, this has been The Point of View. My name is Rodimus, and I will see you guys next time.